Are you a good person? It seems like a simple question, doesn't it? One we mostly answer with a confident yes, or at least a hopeful I try to be. We inherently believe in the concepts of good and evil, of right and wrong. We navigate our lives, our relationships, our societies, all based on these fundamental, seemingly undeniable pillars. But what if those pillars are not as solid as they appear? What if they're not eternal truths, but rather elaborate, even arbitrary constructs? Imagine for a moment a scenario that might hit a little too close to home. You're working on a crucial project, the deadline looms, and the pressure is immense. Your team is pushing hard. One colleague, let's call her Priya, is visibly struggling. You know her story, a single parent, juggling childcare, evening classes, and the demanding pace of her job. She's doing her absolute best, but it's clear she's stretched thin. Then, you discover a significant error in a report she submitted, an oversight that could have serious repercussions for the entire project, maybe even the company. It's not malicious. It's a genuine human mistake born of exhaustion and overwhelm. The company policy is crystal clear. All errors must be reported immediately. Transparency and accountability are paramount. Doing the right thing in this context would mean flagging Priya's mistake to management. But you know what that would mean for Priya. It would likely lead to severe disciplinary action, possibly even the loss of her job. Her livelihood, her child's stability, her fragile sense of security, all of it could unravel. So what do you do? Do you uphold the principle of corporate integrity, follow the rules, and potentially devastate a life? Is that truly good? Or do you discreetly help Priya correct the error, perhaps taking on extra work yourself to cover it, saving her from ruin, but technically breaking company protocol and compromising your own perceived integrity? Is that asterisk good, or something else entirely? This isn't some abstract philosophical riddle. These are the agonizing moral knots we tie ourselves into every single day, in big ways and small. We are constantly told to do the right thing, to be good, to avoid evil. But what if the right thing feels profoundly wrong in its consequences? What if being good by one standard means being indifferent, or even cruel, by another? The deep discomfort you might feel wrestling with Priya's dilemma, that nagging sense of moral ambiguity, is precisely where the radical inquiry of Friedrich Nietzsche truly begins. He didn't merely ask what is good or evil. He posed a far more unsettling question, who decided what good and evil are in the first place, and for what purpose? Nietzsche, with his characteristic intellectual ferocity, dared to suggest that our deeply ingrained concepts of good and evil, these pillars of our moral universe, might not be eternal, absolute truths handed down from some divine source or etched into the immutable fabric of reality itself. Instead, he provocatively argued that they are, in fact, powerful, profoundly human creations, man-made tools. Tools forged in the crucible of history, shaped by power struggles, by the needs of dominant groups, by the desires of the weak to control the strong, by the very evolution of human society. They are narratives we tell ourselves, frameworks we inherit, designed to control, to categorize, to herd us into predictable behaviors and ways of thinking. Think about that for a moment. Good and evil as sophisticated social engineering, not cosmic decrees. This reevaluation rips open the very foundations of our conventional morality. For Nietzsche, these inherited moral frameworks, these tables of values, were not pathways to flourishing, but often chains binding us, preventing us from truly becoming who we are meant to be. They stifle our individual will, our creativity, our raw, untamed potential. He wasn't advocating for a descent into chaos or nihilism, though his ideas are often mistakenly interpreted that way. No, what he proposed was something far more audacious, far more demanding, a revaluation of all values, a radical act of self-overcoming, a challenge to step not away from morality, but beyond good and evil. He urged us to look inward, to become conscious creators of our own meaning, to forge our own values, to become the architects of our own virtue, rather than merely passive recipients or obedient followers of inherited creeds. This is a philosophy that doesn't just ask you to think differently, it demands that you live differently. To embrace discomfort, to shoulder immense responsibility, and to cultivate a fierce, unapologetic authenticity that might just shake the very foundations of your world. This isn't a comfortable journey. Nietzsche's ideas are often misunderstood, frequently labeled as dangerous, even antisocial. In some hands, perhaps they are. But in this video, we're going to bravely step into his world, into the challenging landscape of beyond good and evil. We're going to peel back its layers, unpack its most provocative arguments, and confront the unsettling questions it forces us to ask ourselves about morality, truth, and human nature. Can we truly question the very foundations of our ethical beliefs without descending into moral relativism or outright chaos? Can we dismantle old idols and forge new ones that are truly ours, born of our own strength and wisdom? The goal here isn't to convert you to any particular dogma or to endorse every one of Nietzsche's conclusions, but to equip you with a new, powerful lens through which to view your life, your choices, and the complex moral landscape of our modern world. To explore whether, by venturing beyond good and evil, you might unlock a deeper, more meaningful, and ultimately more powerful way of living, a life that is truly, fiercely your own. So are you ready to challenge everything you thought you knew about what it means to be good? Are you prepared to stare into the abyss of inherited morality and consider forging your own path? If so, let's begin. You might have heard the name Nietzsche before. Perhaps it conjures images of a stern, mustached-whirling philosopher, lost in dusty tomes, muttering grim predictions about the death of God, or worse, associated with ideas that send shivers down the spine. And yes, Friedrich Nietzsche was a philosopher, a profound and often controversial one, but to leave it there would be to miss the extraordinary, invigorating, and frankly, revolutionary nature of his thought, especially for us, living in the 21st century. Forget the gloomy academic cliché. Forget the caricatures. Think of Nietzsche instead as a kind of cultural doctor, a brilliant, if brutally honest, diagnostician. Over a century ago, he peered into the very soul of Western civilization and started pointing out its hidden illnesses, its unspoken assumptions, its inherited biases, many of which, astonishingly, still plague us today, perhaps even more acutely. He wasn't just observing, he was performing a radical psychological autopsy on our shared values, our morality, our very sense of purpose. He was asking, why do we believe what we believe? And what are the often invisible consequences of those beliefs, both for our individual lives and for the collective fabric of society? Nietzsche had an uncanny knack for seeing the cracks in the foundations of our most cherished ideals long before they began to visibly crumble. He foresaw the crises of meaning, the search for identity, the rise of what he might call herd mentality in an increasingly interconnected, yet paradoxically fragmented world. He saw the dangers of dogma, the allure of easy answers, and the subtle ways we surrender our personal agency to comfortable narratives. When you look at the polarized debates, the echo chambers of social media, the anxieties about personal fulfillment and societal direction today, it's hard not to feel like Nietzsche's diagnostic scalpel was astonishingly precise. His work, far from being a relic, feels like an urgent bulletin from the past, calling us to self-awareness in an age desperately needing it. Now, I know what you might be thinking: dense philosophy on YouTube. Is this going to be a lecture that sends me to sleep? Absolutely not. This isn't going to be a dry, academic dissection of beyond good and evil where we get lost in obscure footnotes and historical context. Trust me, you can find plenty of those online and in libraries if that's what you're seeking. Our journey together through this monumental, paradigm-shifting work is going to be different. Our approach is deeply humanized. We're going to translate Nietzsche, to strip away the intimidating jargon and the occasionally convoluted sentence structures, and transform his profound insights into practical, actionable understandings for your own life. This isn't about memorizing philosophical concepts. It's about understanding yourself better. It's about equipping you with a new, sharper lens through which to examine your own motivations, your relationships, your career choices, your understanding of right and wrong, and ultimately, your place in the vast, complex tapestry of modern existence. Instead of abstract theories about morality, we'll ask, what does this mean for my daily ethical dilemmas? How does it explain my own unconscious biases? Instead of discussing the will to power as a historical concept, we'll ask, what does this mean for my ambition, my drive, my pursuit of personal excellence? We'll bring Nietzsche out of the ivory tower and into your living room, your workplace, your gym, your personal reflections. We'll uncover the living, breathing questions that Nietzsche poses directly to the modern thinker grappling with the exhilarating and often overwhelming complexities of life in the 21st century. I remember the first time I truly engaged with Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil. Like many, I approached him with a mix of trepidation and curiosity, half expecting to be validated in my comfortable, pre-packaged worldview. I thought I had a pretty solid handle on what was good and bad, what constituted a meaningful life, and where my values truly lay. But then I started reading, and it felt like a seismic jolt, not just to my intellect, but to my very being. He didn't just challenge my opinions or invite me to debate a point. He challenged the foundations upon which I'd built those opinions, those convictions, that entire framework of understanding. It was unsettling, uncomfortable, and frankly, exhilarating in its raw honesty. It wasn't about tearing down for the sake of destruction, but about a rigorous, almost surgical examination. He made me question everything, not in a nihilistic, despairing way, but in a way that demanded I take profound personal responsibility for my own values, for my own choices. He forced me to look honestly at where my beliefs came from. Were they truly mine, forged in the crucible of my own experience and independent thought? Or were they just echoes of someone else's faded truth, inherited prejudices, or societal expectations I hadn't even realized I'd absorbed? It was a profound intellectual awakening, a realization that much of what I took for granted as universal truth or innate goodness was, in fact, merely habit, convention, or even a subtle, insidious form of societal conditioning designed to keep me compliant rather than truly free and self-actualizing. This book, Beyond Good and Evil, became a kind of intellectual training ground, helping me forge a more robust, more authentic, more courageous sense of self, one prepared to stand on its own 2 feet beyond the easy comfort of the herd. It wasn't about becoming evil, but about becoming truly autonomous, truly myself. So, what exactly are we going to explore in this video? Our journey through Beyond Good and Evil will be structured to guide you step by step through its most powerful concepts. We'll begin by dissecting Nietzsche's audacious, almost blasphemous claim that our traditional morality, the very bedrock of Western thought, philosophy, and religion, is not some divinely ordained, eternal truth, but a deeply human, historically contingent creation. We'll delve into his concept of master and slave morality, understanding how these fundamental psychological orientations have shaped not only entire cultures and civilizations, but continue to subtly, yet powerfully, influence our individual lives, our relationships, and our societal structures even today. Next, we'll confront the will to power, a concept so often misunderstood and maligned. We'll unpack it not as some crude, brute urge for physical domination, but as a nuanced, fundamental, life-affirming drive that underpins all human striving, all creativity, all growth, and indeed, all existence. It's about more than survival. It's about overcoming . We'll explore Nietzsche's radical critiques of truth, knowledge, and objective reality, forcing us to reevaluate what we truly mean when we say something is true or real, especially in an age of competing narratives and information overload. And crucially, we'll examine what it truly means to live beyond good and evil, not as a call to nihilism or amorality, but as an exhilarating invitation to self-overcoming, to creating your own values with courage, integrity, and radical honesty. By the end of this profound intellectual and personal journey, my hope is that you won't just understand Nietzsche better, you'll have gained a radically new, more empowered, and more authentic framework for understanding your own life, your choices, and the values that truly matter to you. Get ready to think, to question, and perhaps to fundamentally reshape your own perspective on what it means to live a meaningful, self-directed life. Welcome to Beyond Good and Evil, a journey with Nietzsche. In this first chapter, The Problem with Truth, we're diving straight into one of Nietzsche's most provocative challenges, his radical skepticism about what we universally accept as truth. Prepare to peer behind the curtain of your most cherished convictions and question the very impulse that drives us to seek truth in the first place. For centuries, philosophy, science, and even religion have assumed an objective truth exists, waiting to be discovered. This inherent drive for certainty, Nietzsche called the will to truth. It's the deep-seated assumption that knowing the real nature of things is inherently good. But Nietzsche found this suspicious. He didn't just question if we can find truth. He questioned why we even want it. He saw the will to truth not as a pure pursuit of knowledge, but as a symptom of other, hidden human drives. Is it a will to power, a desire to control reality by defining it? A profound need for certainty in a chaotic world? A fear of the unknown? Or perhaps a deep psychological need for comfort to avoid ambiguity? Nietzsche suggests our relentless pursuit of truth might be less about external reality and more about projecting our internal desires, values, and psychological needs. He forces us to ask what value does truth actually have, and for whom. This suspicion leads us directly to perspectivism. If our will to truth is tainted by hidden desires, then what we call truth can never be a neutral, objective reflection of reality. Instead, Nietzsche argues there are no absolute facts, only interpretations. Every observation, every statement, every truth we utter is necessarily filtered through a specific lens: our experiences, our biology, our language, our culture, our historical context, our unique set of values and prejudices. Think of a mountain viewed from different angles. Is any one view the absolute truth? No, each is a valid perspective. Our understanding always arises from a specific viewpoint. Perspectivism isn't an invitation to say anything goes. Rather, it's an acknowledgement that all knowledge is situated, embodied, and interpretative. We never encounter reality raw. We always encounter it through our interpretations, shaped by our underlying drives. Now, let's bring this into our modern world. Nietzsche's ideas resonate powerfully today. Consider the stark divides in political discourse. People in different echo chambers often genuinely believe their facts are objective, their side holds undeniable truth, while the other is deluded. But is it really about objective facts? Or is it that deeply held values, personal histories, group identities, and fears shape how information is interpreted? What evidence is credible, and what narratives are accepted as true? What appears as truth to one group is merely propaganda to another, precisely because their underlying perspectives are driven by different fundamental desires. Or think about wellness fads. One person swears by a specific diet, keto, vegan, paleo, proclaiming it the objective truth for optimal health, citing anecdotes and cherry-picked studies. Another advocates for a completely different regimen with equal conviction. Are they both accessing a universal truth, or are their beliefs often intertwined with their desire for control, identity, community, fear of illness, or even moral superiority? In these instances, personal beliefs and subjective experiences are often packaged and presented as universally applicable, objective truths. This brings us to a crucial personal challenge. I invite you right now to identify a truth you hold dear. It could be a moral principle, a belief about human nature, a conviction about how society should be organized, or even a deeply held personal value. Now, with Nietzsche's critical lens, ask yourself, where did this truth really come from? Is it something you've rigorously deduced from undeniable objective facts? Or is it something you were taught? Something that serves your personal comfort, your sense of identity, or your belonging to a particular group? Does it perhaps fulfill a deeper psychological need, a desire for order, meaning, or control? This isn't about invalidating your beliefs, but about honestly examining their foundations. It's about recognizing the hidden will, the underlying desires, that might be shaping what you perceive as absolute and objective. Nietzsche isn't trying to tear down all meaning or declare everything false. Instead, he's forcing us to be profoundly honest about the origins and motivations behind our knowledge claims. He's asking us to become deeply suspicious of anyone, including ourselves, who claims to possess the singular, unvarnished truth. As we move forward, keep this in mind: the problem with truth is rarely about its absence, but about our blindness to the will, the perspective, and the desire that always stands behind it. And once we acknowledge that, the landscape of our understanding changes dramatically. In our journey through Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil, we confront a radical challenge to conventional thought, a call to transcend the well-trodden paths of inherited morality. In this chapter, we delve into the heart of his vision for the ideal individual, the free spirit. This figure stands in stark contrast to what Nietzsche often terms the herd animal, a distinction fundamental to understanding his philosophy. The free spirit is someone who dares to think independently, to question everything, and crucially, to wander away from the apparent safety and comfort of the herd. They are defined not by what they believe, but by how they believe, through active inquiry, relentless curiosity, and an unwavering intellectual courage. The herd animal, by contrast, finds solace in conformity, in the collective acceptance of conventional wisdom, moral dictates, and societal norms. They prefer the known, the comfortable consensus, rather than venturing into the unsettling territory of independent thought. While the herd animal seeks to belong, to be affirmed by the group, the free spirit embraces a path of self-discovery that often necessitates standing apart. They are the ones who ask why, when everyone else is simply accepting because that's how it's always been. Their courage isn't physical, but intellectual, the bravery to face uncomfortable truths and to challenge deeply ingrained assumptions, even their own. But this path of true independent thought is far from easy. It comes with an inherent loneliness and difficulty. Society, by its very nature, tends to value conformity. Group cohesion, shared values, and mutual agreement are often seen as vital for stability and peace. To be a free spirit is, in many ways, to be a perpetual outsider, constantly scrutinizing the very foundations upon which others build their lives. This intellectual autonomy can lead to isolation, a sense of being misunderstood, or even ostracized by those who prefer the warmth of the collective. Nietzsche understood this deeply. He recognized that the human desire for belonging is powerful, and to consciously choose a solitary intellectual journey demands a strength of will that most are unwilling or unable to cultivate. It requires learning to be comfortable with discomfort, to navigate a world that doesn't always reward individual questioning, and to forge one's own values rather than adopting pre-packaged ones. This brings us to the importance of intellectual courage and learning to be comfortable with uncertainty. The free spirit doesn't merely reject old ideas, they actively seek out new perspectives, even those that might shatter their most cherished beliefs. They are not afraid to dwell in ambiguity, to admit I don't know, and to constantly revise their understanding of the world. This is a dynamic, ongoing process, not a destination. It means holding convictions lightly enough to allow for their examination and potential revision, and having the fortitude to stand by a truth, even if it's unpopular or complex. It's the courage to look into the abyss of existence and not flinch, to embrace the vastness of the unknown without seeking simplistic answers or false certainties. For Nietzsche, this willingness to embrace uncertainty is not a weakness, but a profound strength, essential for any true intellectual advancement and personal growth. In our modern world, the spirit of Nietzsche's free spirit resonates powerfully with concepts we now celebrate: the disruptor, the innovator, and the first principles thinker. A disruptor challenges established industries and conventional business models, creating entirely new paradigms by questioning fundamental assumptions. An innovator isn't content with incremental improvements. They envision and create what hasn't existed before, often by thinking outside of existing frameworks. And a first principles thinker, a term popularized by figures like Elon Musk, refuses to reason by analogy or convention, choosing instead to break down problems to their most basic, fundamental truths and rebuild from there. All these modern archetypes embody the essence of the free spirit individuals who dare to step away from the consensus, to challenge the status quo, and to carve out new intellectual and practical pathways. They demonstrate that the courage to think for oneself, to question everything, and to embrace the difficulty of uncertainty is not merely an abstract philosophical ideal, but a tangible force for progress and transformation in every aspect of human endeavor. Becoming a free spirit, therefore, is not just about a particular set of beliefs, but about an entire way of living and thinking, a continuous act of self-overcoming, of forging one's own path in a world that often pressures us to conform. It is Nietzsche's profound invitation to us all to embrace the arduous yet infinitely rewarding journey of intellectual independence. Welcome to Chapter 3, The Psychology of Belief. In this section of our journey through Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil, we delve into one of his most profound and, at times, unsettling analyses the religious impulse. But let us be clear from the outset, this is not an outright condemnation of faith itself. Instead, it is an empathetic, albeit unflinching, exploration of the deep-seated psychological needs that faith and dogma fulfill, often, Nietzsche argues, at the significant cost of personal strength and genuine growth. Nietzsche possessed a keen eye for the human condition, particularly its vulnerabilities. He observed how certain religious values, historically embedded in Western thought, actively promoted weakness and a denial of life's natural, vibrant instincts. Consider the virtues extolled by what he termed slave morality, humility, pity, self-denial, suffering as a path to purification, and the promise of reward in an afterlife. These values, while seemingly benign or even noble on the surface, were seen by Nietzsche as essentially anti-life. They encourage a turning away from the robust, egoistic drives that are inherent to human vitality, fostering instead a spirit of resignation, resentment, and a profound disengagement from the here and now. The strong, self-affirming individual, driven by passion and the will to overcome, finds these values anathema to their very being. For Nietzsche, to deny one's natural instincts for power, creation, and self-assertion in favor of meekness and self-sacrifice is to diminish life itself, to choose weakness over strength, sickness over health. It is a psychological strategy to cope with the immense suffering and meaninglessness that can accompany existence by projecting worth onto an imagined transcendent realm and devaluing the only reality we truly possess. But Nietzsche's psychological insights are not confined to the dusty annals of religious history. He invites us to look beyond traditional churches and cathedrals to see how this same psychology extends into any rigid modern belief system. Think of the fervent adherence to political ideologies where absolute certainty, moral purity, and the demonization of opposing viewpoints create a secular dogma. We see it in the uncritical embrace of celebrity worship, where figures are elevated to demigod status, their pronouncements treated as infallible truth, and their perceived flaws vehemently denied or excused. Even in the pursuit of certain scientific paradigms or lifestyle trends, there can be a similar psychological dynamic at play, the yearning for a fixed point of reference, an external authority, a community of believers that offers comfort, identity, and an escape from the terrifying burden of individual responsibility and critical thought. In these modern manifestations, just as in traditional religion, The individual might sacrifice their independent judgment, their unique perspective, and their capacity for self-creation on the altar of belonging and certainty. The psychological comfort derived from these systems often comes at the price of intellectual courage and genuine self-awareness. Perhaps one of Nietzsche's most potent psychological concepts, crucial to understanding this chapter, is that of bad conscience. This isn't just about feeling guilty for breaking a rule. It's a far more profound and insidious phenomenon. Nietzsche theorized that when human beings were forced into society, compelled to live under laws and moral strictures, their natural, aggressive, powerful instincts, their will to power, could no longer be expressed outwardly. These vital energies, denied their natural outlet, didn't simply vanish. Instead, they turned inward. They became sublimated, refined, and redirected against the self. This internalization of aggression gave birth to bad conscience, a constant, tormenting self-criticism, a need for punishment, a feeling of inadequacy, and an endless cycle of guilt. We learn to turn our natural drive for mastery and assertion against ourselves, becoming our own torturers, endlessly dissecting our supposed flaws and moral failings. This psychological turning inward, according to Nietzsche, is the origin of much of our self-loathing and the driving force behind the ascetic ideal, the self-denial, self-flagellation, and the pursuit of suffering as a means of atonement. It's a sickness of the soul, a form of self-tyranny born from repressed vitality. So, as we conclude this chapter, let us reiterate Nietzsche's analysis is not an attack on belief itself, nor is it a dismissive swipe at all forms of spirituality or communal belonging. Rather, it is an empathetic, albeit challenging, exploration of the human need for certainty and meaning. He understood the profound terror of a world without inherent purpose, the dizzying freedom that comes with the death of God, and the immense psychological burden of creating one's own values. His work here is a call for self-awareness, an invitation to examine why we believe what we believe, to question the psychological roots of our convictions, and to assess whether these beliefs are truly life-affirming or if they subtly diminish our strength, our growth, and our capacity for a full, vibrant existence. It's a challenge to move beyond merely accepting inherited truths and instead to forge a path of self-overcoming, creating meaning and value from within, rather than passively receiving it from external authorities. Welcome back to our journey through Friedrich Nietzsche's radical reevaluation of values. In this, Chapter 4, we delve into the secret history of our morals, investigating the very origins of our moral compass and introducing one of Nietzsche's most famous and enduring distinctions, master morality versus slave morality. Prepare to see the foundations of what you consider good and evil shaken as we uncover their ancient, often forgotten, genesis. Nietzsche contends that morality isn't some divine decree or universal constant, but rather a human creation born from specific historical and psychological conditions. He wasn't interested in what we ought to do, but why we believe we ought to do it. And for him, the why reveals two fundamentally different moral systems. First, let us define master morality Imagine the ancient world societies ruled by warrior aristocracies, powerful chieftains, and noble houses. Their morality, Nietzsche argued, was one of self-affirmation. For these masters, good was synonymous with themselves and their characteristics: strength, pride, courage, independence, nobility, honesty, and a profound reverence for life and self-overcoming. The master is a creator of values, an active force that looks at itself and declares, "This is good." They don't look outside themselves for validation. They are the measure. Consequently, bad in this system wasn't evil in the modern sense, but simply contemptible or base qualities like weakness, cowardice, fearfulness, commonness, and subservience. The master feels contempt for the weak, but not hatred. Their focus is on their own ascent, not the subjugation of others. Their morality flows from an abundance of life, a will to power expressed through self-mastery and expansion. Now, consider the counterpoint-esque slave morality asterisk. This value system, Nietzsche explains, arises from the perspective of the oppressed, the suffering, the weak, and the enslaved. Unlike the master, whose values are active and self-affirming, the slave's values are reactive. They don't define good from an internal wellspring, but rather by first identifying what they perceive as evil, namely, the powerful, the cruel, the proud, the very characteristics of the masters that cause them suffering. Only asterisk then asterisk do they invent good as the inverse of this evil. Thus, good for the slave becomes kindness, humility, pity, patience, self-sacrifice, and equality. These are virtues born of necessity and powerlessness, transformed into moral imperatives. This morality is deeply rooted in what Nietzsche termed ressentiment, a French word that conveys a profound, festering resentment, a simmering envy, and a suppressed hatred towards the powerful, which, unable to express itself outwardly, turns inward and creates a new moral framework that justifies its own suffering and condemns the source of its pain. The slave cannot act, so they invent a morality that denigrates action and praises passivity. The pivotal moment in this historical drama, for Nietzsche, is the slave revolt in morality. This is the great inversion. Through this revolt, the values of the master are turned on their head. What was good for the master, strength, pride, power, nobility, is relabeled evil. And what was bad or contemptible for the master, meekness, humility, pity, suffering, is exalted as good. The weak, through this moral inversion, achieve a spiritual victory over their oppressors. They say, in effect, you call yourselves good, but you are evil. We, the suffering, are the truly good ones. Nietzsche often points to the advent of Christianity as the prime example of this slave revolt, where the values of the poor, the meek, and the suffering are elevated to universal ideals, and the rich and powerful are condemned. It wasn't just a new religion, it was a profound recoding of the human spirit. So, where does this leave us today? Nietzsche would argue that modern Western morality is a complex, often contradictory, mix of these two ancient systems. Thus, we live in a moral landscape where we simultaneously admire strength, ambition, individual achievement, and self-assertion, echoes of master morality. Yet, at the very same time, we highly value compassion, equality, kindness, altruism, and care for the weak and suffering, clear hallmarks of slave morality. This creates an internal tension, a fundamental discord within our shared ethical framework. We strive for excellence, yet preach humility. We praise individual success, yet idealize self-sacrifice. This isn't a simple blend, it's an ongoing, often unacknowledged struggle between two opposing wills, two different ways of valuing life itself. Nietzsche challenges us to examine our own moral instincts, to identify which threads belong to the master and which to the slave, and to consider the psychological origins and implications of these deeply ingrained values. He asks us to look beyond the surface of our accepted good and evil and inquire into the secret history that shaped them and continues to shape us. Welcome back to our journey through Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil. In our previous chapters, we've dissected the origins of morality and the master-slave dynamic. Now, we turn our gaze to something perhaps even more provocative, the potential shadows lurking within our most cherished, seemingly unquestionable modern virtues. This is Chapter 5, The Dangers of Modern Goodness. It's easy, almost instinctual, to assume that virtues like pity and compassion are universally good. To feel for another's suffering, to lend a helping hand, these are the hallmarks of a civilized society, aren't they? But Nietzsche, ever the contrarian, invites us to look deeper, to ask a question that feels almost sacrilegious. Can pity, in its unbridled form, actually be a danger? Can it paradoxically perpetuate weakness rather than genuinely alleviate it? Nietzsche suggests that an excessive, unexamined pity can, in fact, diminish both the one who pities and the one who is pitied. For the pitier, it can be a subtle form of self-indulgence, a way to feel superior or to avoid confronting one's own existential struggles by focusing on another's. More crucially, for the recipient, unearned or constant pity can become a crutch. It can reinforce a victim mentality, preventing the individual from facing their own challenges, finding their own strength, and ultimately overcoming their adversity. Imagine a tree constantly propped up. It may never develop the deep roots and strong trunk necessary to stand firm against the wind. Nietzsche isn't advocating for callousness or indifference. Rather, he's challenging us to consider whether our acts of compassion are truly empowering, or if they sometimes inadvertently disempower by removing the very friction necessary for growth. He asks us to distinguish between a genuine desire to uplift and a potentially weakening sentimentality that masks a deeper malaise. From the seemingly benign nature of pity, we pivot to another cornerstone of modern ethics: equality. The pursuit of equality, in many of its forms, is undeniably a powerful force for justice and fairness. We strive for equal opportunities, equal rights, and a society where no one is held back by arbitrary factors. Yet, Nietzsche pushes us to examine the absolute drive for equality, to question if, taken to its extreme, it might have an unforeseen cost. His concern isn't with basic human dignity or equal legal standing, but with a potential societal push towards what he saw as a leveling down. If the ultimate goal is for everyone to be exactly the same, to have identical outcomes regardless of effort, talent, or drive, does it not risk suppressing excellence? Does it not, in its desire to erase all distinctions, subtly promote mediocrity? Nietzsche feared that a relentless pursuit of absolute equality could become an enemy of individual distinction, of the exceptional spirit, of the very individuals who push humanity forward through their unique contributions and unparalleled achievements. If we make it uncomfortable, or even undesirable, to rise above the average, if we cast suspicion on those who excel too greatly, we risk stifling the potential for greatness within society. The drive to make everyone equal might inadvertently flatten the peaks rather than simply raising the valleys. It's not about endorsing hierarchy for its own sake, but about acknowledging that human beings are inherently diverse in their capacities and aspirations, and that a society truly dedicated to flourishing must make room for, and even celebrate, the outstanding individual, not just the lowest common denominator. And what about our increasingly pervasive obsession with comfort and safety? We live in an age where the avoidance of discomfort and risk is paramount. From bubble-wrapped childhoods to risk-averse workplaces, The modern world often seeks to eliminate every conceivable form of hardship or danger. While a certain degree of safety is fundamental for well-being, Nietzsche challenges us to consider where the line is drawn. Can this relentless pursuit of comfort, this fetishization of absolute safety, become detrimental to our very human development? Nietzsche would argue that true growth, profound understanding, and the development of resilience are often forged in the fires of adversity. It is through struggle, through confronting hardship, through facing risks and overcoming obstacles that we discover our true limits, our inner strength, and our capacity for greatness. When every sharp edge is blunted, every challenge removed, when we are insulated from all forms of suffering and discomfort, we risk becoming soft, complacent, and ultimately weak. We might lose the ability to endure, to strive, to overcome. A life without challenge, without the occasional necessary friction, might feel pleasant, but it can also be profoundly unfulfilling and ultimately prevent us from experiencing the deep satisfaction that comes from confronting and mastery. Now, it's crucial to clarify before anyone accuses Nietzsche of advocating for cruelty or indifference. He is doing no such thing. He is not urging us to be heartless, to abandon the weak, or to deliberately inflict suffering. His project is far more subtle and profound. He is inviting us, compelling us, to engage in a radical reevaluation of our values. He asks us to be philosophers with a hammer, to tap on our most sacred beliefs and listen for their resonance. Do these values, which we hold so dear, truly promote strength, vitality, and the flourishing of the highest human potential? Or do they perhaps inadvertently, sometimes foster weakness, mediocrity, and a declining life force? Nietzsche's aim is to create a morality that is life-affirming, one that encourages individuals to overcome themselves, to strive for greatness, and to embrace the full, often challenging, spectrum of human experience. He wants us to move beyond good and evil, not into a nihilistic void, but into a realm where values are chosen consciously, deliberately, and with a full understanding of their consequences for human strength and flourishing. He asks us to be brave enough to question the goodness we have inherited, to examine whether our compassion, our equality, and our pursuit of safety truly serve the cause of a more robust, more vital humanity. In our next chapter, we will delve into Nietzsche's vision for the Übermensch or Overman, and how this concept ties into the revaluation of values we've explored today. Stay with us as we continue to unpack the challenging, yet ultimately liberating, ideas of Friedrich Nietzsche. Welcome back, truth seekers, as we delve deeper into the intricate tapestry of Nietzsche's thought. In this sixth chapter of our journey, we confront perhaps his most potent and widely misunderstood concept, the will to power. For many, these three words conjure images of ruthless dictators, political oppression, or the brutal dominance of one over another. They imagine a philosophy that champions aggression and unchecked ambition, leading inevitably to conflict and exploitation. Let me be unequivocally clear, this interpretation, while pervasive, is a profound and damaging misreading of Nietzsche's genius. It reduces a nuanced, life-affirming drive to a crude, simplistic caricature, often used to unfairly demonize his philosophy. The will to power, as Nietzsche conceived it, is emphatically not about political domination or the subjugation of others. It is not a call for the powerful to crush the weak. That is a superficial, even malicious, distortion that misses the profound psychological and biological underpinnings of his idea. Instead, let us redefine it with precision. The will to power is the fundamental, internal, irreducible drive in all living things, from the simplest cell to the most complex human being, to grow, to expand, to overcome resistance, to master, and ultimately, to actualize their full potential. It is an instinct for self-overcoming, for becoming more than one currently is. Think of it not as a will asterisk over asterisk others, but as a will asterisk to asterisk power, a will asterisk to become asterisk powerful in oneself. It is life's inherent push towards greater complexity, greater organization, greater influence, and greater self-mastery. Consider the tree pushing its roots deep into the earth, straining its branches towards the sunlight. It's not trying to dominate other trees, it's striving to grow, to absorb more nutrients, to achieve its maximal expression as a tree, or observe the relentless evolution of species continually adapting, differentiating, and mastering their environments. This isn't mere survival, it's an expansive, creative force at work. Now, let's bring this concept into the human realm with relatable examples. Take the artist Skrisk. Their will to power isn't about selling the most paintings or becoming famous, though these might be incidental byproducts. Their true will to power is the intense, internal urge to master their craft, to push the boundaries of their medium, to articulate a vision that has never existed before, to overcome creative blocks, and to infuse their unique spirit into a tangible form. It's the drive to achieve artistic excellence, to become a master of their own creative universe. Or think of the Strisk entrepreneur Skrisk. Their primary drive isn't solely profit. Many could make an easier living elsewhere. The entrepreneur's will to power manifests as the urge to build, to innovate, to solve problems, to bring a novel idea into existence, to organize resources, to create an enterprise from nothing, and to overcome the myriad challenges of the market. It's the will to manifest their vision, to expand their influence through creation, and to leave a mark through their work. Consider the Apophthegms. It's not just about winning the gold medal, though that's a powerful motivator. The athlete's will to power is the relentless pursuit of physical and mental mastery. It's the drive to push past limits, to shave milliseconds off a time, to perfect a technique, to overcome injuries, to strengthen the body and mind, and to achieve peak performance. It's the continuous self-overcoming, the desire to be stronger, faster, more resilient than they were yesterday. In each of these examples, the drive is internal and expansive. It's about the subject's relationship with themselves, their potential, and the challenges they face, not primarily about asserting dominance over others. This redefinition has profound implications for how we view our own aspirations. How many of us pursue happiness as our ultimate goal? Yet, happiness, in its common understanding, can often be a fleeting state dependent on external circumstances or even a passive acceptance of comfort. Similarly, survival as a goal, while fundamental, is too static, too reactive. It suggests merely enduring rather than thriving. When you reframe your goals through the lens of the will to power, they take on a far more meaningful and dynamic character. Instead of simply aiming for happiness, you strive for mastery for growth for self-overcoming Instead of just surviving, you aim to thrive to expand your capacities to become more Consider your own life. Learning a new language isn't just about communicating. It's about expanding your mind, mastering a complex system, and overcoming the challenge of linguistic barriers. Building a stronger relationship isn't just about harmony. It's about mastering communication, overcoming personal insecurities, and expanding your capacity for connection and empathy. Even battling a personal habit isn't just about stopping something negative, it's an act of self-mastery, a declaration of your will to shape yourself. The will to power, then, is the engine of all creativity, all progress, all self-actualization. It is the joyous affirmation of life's inherent drive to push beyond its current limitations, to explore its potential, and to continually become something greater. It asks us not just to exist, but to asterisk our existence, to actively sculpt ourselves and our world. It's a call to embrace the struggle inherent in growth, to find meaning not just in the destination, but in the relentless, exhilarating process of becoming. It is life itself in its most active, most affirmative, and most powerful expression. With this deeper understanding of the will to power, we begin to unlock further layers of Nietzsche's radical philosophy, paving the way for our next exploration into how this fundamental drive shapes morality itself. Chapter 7, What is Noble, is a pivotal moment in Beyond Good and Evil, where Nietzsche lays bare his vision of the higher human being, the truly exceptional individual who stands apart from the conventional morality of the herd. This isn't about inherited titles or social standing, but an internal quality, a profound posture towards existence that defines true greatness. At the very core of Nietzsche's conception of nobility lies self-reverence, and an unshakable belief in one's own intrinsic worth. For the noble soul, this isn't a boastful arrogance, but a deep, almost sacred respect for their own being, their potential, and their unique destiny. It's a self-affirmation that precedes any external validation, a fundamental sense of dignity that compels them to create rather than merely conform. They are not defined by what others think of them, but by their own internal measure, their own sense of value. This self-worth isn't static, it's a dynamic force, a perpetual striving to become more, to actualize one's highest possibilities. This foundational self-respect is the wellspring from which all other noble characteristics flow, providing the bedrock for an individual who is capable of standing alone and charting their own course. This internal elevation naturally leads to what Nietzsche terms the pathos of distance. This isn't a mere snobbishness or a withdrawal from society out of contempt, but a psychological and spiritual separation from the values, opinions, and collective consciousness of the masses. The noble soul maintains a deliberate space, a necessary gulf between themselves and the herd. Why? Because their task is to create their own values, to live by their own law, to forge a unique path. This requires intellectual and spiritual solitude, a protected inner realm where their nascent ideas and individual will can flourish untainted by the pressures of conformity, popular opinion, or the debilitating morality of pity. The pathos of distance is thus a self-preservation mechanism, ensuring the integrity and independence of the higher human being, allowing them to cultivate a strength and perspective that the crowd can never possess. It's about freedom from in order to achieve freedom for Crucially, the noble individual's relationship with suffering. Is fundamentally different from that of the common person. While the herd seeks comfort, safety, and the elimination of pain at all costs, the noble soul views suffering not as an evil to be avoided, but as an indispensable tool, a harsh but effective teacher. They embrace hardship, adversity, and struggle as essential components for forging a strong character, deepening self-knowledge, and achieving genuine self-mastery. For Nietzsche, only through grappling with profound challenges, through enduring the crucible of pain and disappointment, can one develop true strength, resilience, and wisdom. This isn't a masochistic yearning for pain, but a recognition that the greatest growth, the most profound self-overcoming, happens precisely when one confronts and transcends one's limits through suffering. It is through this arduous process that the individual sharpens their will, refines their spirit, and discovers their true capabilities, ultimately becoming more than they were. Bringing these profound insights into our contemporary context, we can see direct parallels with modern psychological and ethical ideals. Nietzsche's emphasis on confronting and integrating suffering resonates deeply with today's understanding of Apophthegms, developing resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity, to learn and grow stronger from setbacks, is a highly valued trait in our complex world. His concept of self-reverence is a precursor to contemporary notions of healthy self-respect, a deep-seated belief in one's own worth that isn't dependent on external validation, praise, or superficial achievements. It's about an inner gyroscope guiding one's actions and decisions from a place of authenticity, and the noble imperative to create one's own values and live by one's own law is a powerful articulation of personal integrity, the consistent adherence to a moral and ethical framework that you have consciously chosen and affirmed for yourself, rather than simply adopting societal norms or succumbing to external pressures. The noble individual in Nietzsche's philosophy is ultimately a self-legislator, an artist of their own existence, who, through self-reverence, deliberate distance, and the courageous embrace of suffering, sculpts a soul of profound strength, independence, and unique value. They are not merely responding to life, but actively shaping it, defining what is good and noble for themselves, and in doing so, pointing towards a higher possibility for humanity. Welcome back, truth seekers, to Beyond Good and Evil, and our journey through the labyrinthine mind of Friedrich Nietzsche. In this segment, we delve into Chapter 8, The Masks We All Wear. This chapter uncovers one of Nietzsche's most profound and perhaps counterintuitive insights, that for truly deep thought, for the cultivation of a free spirit, a mask is not merely optional, but often a necessity. Consider, for a moment, the myriad social interactions that comprise your daily life. Do you present the exact same unfiltered self to your boss as you do to your closest friend, to your family as you do to a stranger on the street? Of course not. We instinctively understand the social necessity of donning different personas or masks to navigate the diverse environments we inhabit. There's the professional mask, designed for competence and decorum. There's the polite mask for casual interactions. The empathetic mask, the stoic mask, the amused mask. These aren't necessarily acts of deception. Often, they are acts of consideration, efficiency, or simple self-preservation in a world brimming with complex expectations. Nietzsche, however, delves far deeper than mere social etiquette. For him, the mask is a vital tool for the philosopher, the creator, the truly independent spirit. Why? Because the world, by and large, is not prepared for profundity. It often reacts with hostility, misunderstanding, or indifference to thoughts that challenge its comfortable assumptions. The truly free spirit, engaged in the arduous task of creating new values, of seeing beyond the established morality, needs a sanctuary for their burgeoning ideas. To expose every nascent thought, every radical insight, every unconventional truth to an uncomprehending public is to risk not only ridicule, but also the stunting or distortion of the idea itself. Deep thinkers and creators, therefore, often require a degree of solitude, a protective cocoon of separation, not out of misanthropy, but to safeguard their work and indeed their sanity. They must cultivate an inner world where their thoughts can mature, untainted by the clamor and superficial judgments of the crowd. This separation allows them to refine their vision, to build their arguments, and to emerge only when their insights are robust enough to withstand the inevitable onslaught of conventional wisdom. Imagine, if you will, the challenging life of an undercover agent. They operate within the very fabric of the society they are investigating, adopting its customs, its language, its behaviors. They may appear to be one of them, participating in mundane daily activities, yet beneath this veneer lies a profound, secret mission, a deeper identity, a truth they must guard with their very being. The agent navigates society not by being truly assimilated, but by strategically blending in, all the while protecting their true allegiances and objectives. This is precisely the role of Nietzsche's free spirit. They walk among us, speak our language, perhaps even smile our smiles, but their inner compass points to a different star. They are gathering intelligence, observing human nature, preparing for a deeper revelation, all while shielding their true convictions from a world that might not be ready or willing to hear them. This mask is not a sign of weakness, but of strategic strength, a testament to their unwavering commitment to a higher, more demanding truth. It is a deliberate act of concealment that enables their ultimate project of intellectual liberation. This brings us to a crucial point of reflection for you, our listener. As you navigate your own life, you undoubtedly employ various masks, but do you understand their purpose? Are your masks serving a strategic function, allowing you to protect a vulnerable truth, to maintain your focus on a deeper personal mission, or to navigate social complexities with grace and efficacy? Or, conversely, have these masks become a form of fearful conformity, a reflex to avoid discomfort, to blend in at any cost, even at the expense of your authentic self? Are you wearing a mask to achieve something meaningful, or merely to escape the perceived judgment of others? Nietzsche challenges us to examine our personas, to understand when our masks empower us to pursue our highest potential, and when they simply trap us in a cage of others' expectations. The truly free spirit, he implies, is not someone who never wears a mask, but someone who chooses their masks consciously, strategically, and with a full understanding of their purpose. They are masters of their own disguise rather than prisoners of it. Reflect on this. What masks do you wear, and why? What would it mean to choose them with intention rather than default? And what part of your authentic self are you protecting, or perhaps neglecting, behind them? Welcome back to our exploration of Friedrich Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil. As we draw near the culmination of our journey, it's time to synthesize the profound insights we've uncovered and look forward to the exhilarating vision Nietzsche presents the philosophers of the future. Our path through this book has been anything but conventional. We began by bravely questioning the very foundations of what we call truth, peeling back layers of cultural conditioning and psychological drives to reveal how often our most cherished convictions serve not an objective reality, but rather a hidden will to power, or perhaps even a subtle will to weakness. We learn to see truth not as a fixed entity waiting to be discovered, but as a human interpretation, often a tool forged in the crucible of historical struggle. From there, we delved into the genealogy of morals, witnessing the monumental inversion of values orchestrated by slave morality, where strength became evil and weakness glorified as good. We understood how pity, humility, and the collective spirit, while seemingly virtuous, could actually be symptoms of a declining life force, contrasted sharply with a nascent, life-affirming nobility. This nobility, as Nietzsche presented it, isn't about inherited status or social rank, but an internal architecture of self-mastery, courage, and an unyielding affirmation of existence, even in its most tragic dimensions. We've journeyed from merely dissecting old values to perceiving the contours of what new values might look like, values forged by individuals strong enough to stand beyond the conventional duality of good and evil. This brings us to the ultimate task Nietzsche lays before us, the advent of these new philosophers, whom he envisions as not mere discoverers of values, but their audacious creators. These are not scholars content to catalog existing thoughts, nor are they moralists who preach inherited dogmas. No, these are the commanders and legislators of values. Their task is to shape the future of humanity by actively determining what shall be considered noble, beautiful, and worthwhile. They don't just observe, they command. They don't just interpret, they legislate. Their voice rings out with a decisive thus it shall be an utterance born of immense self-overcoming, profound insight, and an indomitable will to give direction to human becoming. They are architects of meaning, willing to shoulder the colossal responsibility of defining new ideals for an age that has seen its old gods crumble. They understand that values are not eternal, divinely ordained mandates, but human constructions, and thus, they are also human possibilities, open to radical reevaluation and bold creation. These free spirits embody a profound courage to stand alone, to experiment with new ethical horizons, and to chart a course for humanity beyond the stagnation of inherited morality. They embrace the perilous joy of forging their own path, their own standards, their own vision of human excellence, fully aware that this act of creation is the highest manifestation of the will to power. Now, pause for a moment and consider this. Nietzsche's philosophy is not just an academic exercise confined to dusty tomes. It is a direct, unfiltered challenge hurled across the centuries, landing squarely at your feet. How does this apply to your life right here, right now? Are you content to merely be a follower, to passively inherit the values, opinions, and moral codes handed down to you by society, by tradition, by the ever-present drone of the herd? Or do you possess the nascent spark of a creator within you? The courage to question, the fortitude to look inward and ask what you truly affirm? What you truly value, independent of external dictates? This doesn't demand a societal revolution overnight. It begins with an inner revolution. It's about taking ownership of your own meaning-making. In your relationships, in your work, in your personal aspirations, in the way you interact with the world, where are you simply conforming, and where can you assert your unique vision, your individual will? Where can you stop merely consuming values and begin the arduous, yet exhilarating, task of creating them? It means cultivating the honesty to articulate your own standards and the bravery to live by them, even when they diverge from the comfortable consensus. It means embracing the creative tension of defining your own good and evil, your own meaningful existence in your own small, yet profoundly significant corner of the world. This, then, is the ultimate promise and the profound burden of Nietzsche's philosophy, the limitless potential for human self-creation. Humanity is not a fixed species, but a dynamic, ever-evolving project. We are not static beings, but rather a bridge, a continuous process of becoming. Each of us carries within the raw material the artistic impulse to sculpt our own existence, to transform our lives into a work of art. The future is not a predetermined destination. It is an open canvas, awaiting the bold strokes of those who dare to envision and create new possibilities. It is an invitation to embrace your freedom, to shoulder the awesome responsibility of defining yourself, of transcending your current limitations, and of continually striving for a higher, more self-affirming version of yourself. Your life is not merely lived, it is made asterisk. What will you forge? What values will you legislate for your own spirit? The journey of self-overcoming is endless, but the rewards are boundless. A life lived authentically, powerfully, and with an unshakable affirmation of your own creative will. Step forth and begin to forge your philosophy of the future. We've delved deep into Nietzsche's radical re-evaluation of morality, but how do these profound ideas translate into the gritty reality of your everyday life? It's one thing to understand the abstract concepts of asterisk, beyond good and evil asterisk, and quite another to integrate them to asterisk live asterisk differently. This is where our 7-day challenge begins, a practical guide designed to help you bridge that gap, to move from intellectual curiosity to tangible, personal transformation. This isn't about becoming Nietzsche, but about using his tools to become more authentically asterisk you asterisks. It's a journey of self-discovery, self-creation, and self-overcoming. Are you ready to live differently? Let's begin. Sheksk Day 1 and 2. The Art of Questioning Dutch. For the first 2 days of our challenge, your task is to identify one core belief you hold about success or happiness. Think about what you truly aspire to, what you believe constitutes a good life, or what you feel you must achieve to be content. Perhaps it's a certain career path, a specific financial milestone, a relationship status, or even an ideal body image. Once you've identified this belief, ask yourself with brutal honesty, is this truly my value, one I've forged and chosen for myself, or did I inherit it? Did it come from your parents, your schooling, social media, advertising, or the collective expectations of your culture? Spend these 2 days reflecting on the origins of this belief. Trace its lineage. Does it feel deeply resonant with your inner self, or does it carry the faint echo of external pressures? The goal here isn't to discard the belief immediately, but simply to unmask it, to separate what you think you value from what you truly value. This initial act of questioning is the first step towards intellectual honesty and personal sovereignty. Ask Day 3 and 4. The act of observation now. On days 3 and 4, we shift our focus from introspection to outward observation, with a crucial lens provided by Nietzsche's concepts of master and slave morality. Remember, master morality often values pride, strength, nobility, and self-assertion, while slave morality frequently emphasizes kindness, compassion, humility, and is born from a reaction against the powerful. Your task for these 2 days is simply to notice Watch how these moral frameworks play out in the world around you. Tune into the narratives of your favorite movies or TV shows. Who are the heroes and what values do they embody? How are villains portrayed and what moral systems do they represent? Does a character's goodness stem from an inherent strength and self-affirmation, or from a reaction to perceived oppression or a desire for comfort and security? When you read the news, consider the moral underpinnings of different viewpoints on social or political issues. Which arguments resonate with the will to power, and which with a call for equality or protection of the weak? Most importantly, pay attention to the subtle currents within your own thoughts and reactions to these external stimuli. Do you find yourself admiring a display of unyielding resolve, or are you drawn more to acts of self-sacrifice? The key here is not to judge, nor to label anything definitively good or bad, but purely to observe the dynamics at play. See the world through Nietzsche's eyes, without the filter of your pre-existing moral judgments. Just notice the dance of values. Ask Day 5 and 6. The courage of creation text, having questioned inherited beliefs and observed the world through new eyes. Days 5 and 6 invite you to step into the role of creator. Based on your insights from the previous days, define one personal rule or value that is authentically yours, something that resonates deeply, that you truly believe in, and that you want to live by. This isn't about adopting a pre-packaged moral code, it's about authorship. What is a truth you've discovered within yourself, something you want to affirm as foundational to your existence? It could be something like, I value radical honesty, even when it's uncomfortable, or my strength comes from embracing challenges, or I define success by my own growth, not external comparison. Once you've articulated this personal rule, take one small, tangible action based on it. If your rule is about radical honesty, have an honest conversation you've been avoiding. If it's about embracing challenges, volunteer for a task at work or home that pushes you slightly beyond your comfort zone. This isn't about grand gestures, it's about the conscious, deliberate act of embodying your self-created value, making it real in the world. It's a vital step in becoming the sculptor of your own life. Stress Day 7. The will to overcome stress. For our final day, Day 7, we embrace Nietzsche's concept of self-overcoming. Intentionally choose a small, healthy hardship you've been avoiding. This isn't about self-punishment, but about growth and strengthening your will. Perhaps it's that difficult workout you've been putting off, a tough but necessary conversation you've been dreading, tackling a daunting organizational task, or even committing to a period of focused work without distraction. Whatever it is, approach it not as a chore, but as an opportunity. Embrace it as a chance to test your resolve, to grow beyond your current limitations, and to affirm your own strength. Feel the discomfort, lean into the challenge, and recognize that in overcoming this small adversity, you are strengthening your character and asserting your will over your immediate desires for comfort. This isn't just about finishing the task, it's about the internal experience, the conscious choice to meet difficulty with affirmation and a spirit of growth. It is in these moments of chosen struggle that we most powerfully actualize our will to power and move towards becoming who we truly are. This 7-day challenge is just the beginning. Nietzsche didn't offer a simple rule book for life, but a radical invitation to live more authentically, more powerfully, and more consciously. The ideas in asterisk beyond good and evil asterisk are not meant to be passively consumed, but actively lived. Take these practices with you beyond this week and continue to question, observe, create, and overcome. Your journey of self-mastery is an ongoing one, filled with endless possibilities for growth and transformation. Embrace it. We've journeyed deep into the challenging, exhilarating landscape of Nietzsche's asterisk, beyond good and evil asterisk, spending hours wrestling with his profound provocations. Now, as our time together draws to a close, I want to distill our exploration into three core ideas, three powerful insights that, once truly grasped, have the potential to fundamentally shift how you perceive the world, your place within it, and the very fabric of human existence. These aren't just concepts to intellectually ponder, they are invitations to a new way of living, a challenge to reevaluate everything you thought you knew. The first, and perhaps most revolutionary, idea is this: morality is invented, not discovered. For millennia, humanity has largely operated under the assumption that good and evil are objective truths, cosmic laws etched into the very fabric of the universe, waiting for us to uncover them, to align ourselves with them. We've been taught that certain actions are inherently righteous, others inherently depraved, independent of human will or perspective. But Nietzsche tears down this comforting illusion. He argues, with relentless precision, that our moral codes, our intricate systems of right and wrong, virtue and vice, are not divinely ordained commandments, nor are they universal scientific principles. They are, quite simply, human creations. They arose from specific historical, cultural, and psychological needs. They are expressions of a particular will, a collective interpretation of how life should be lived, often serving the interests of particular groups or aiming to tame the chaotic forces of human nature. This realization is not meant to plunge us into nihilism, but to liberate us. If morality is a human invention, then it follows that we have the power to examine it, to question its origins, its assumptions, its utility. We are not mere recipients of a pre-existing moral order. We are its architects, or at least its inheritors with the capacity to critically assess its blueprints. This means you have the profound, sometimes terrifying, freedom to choose. You can choose to perpetuate inherited values, or you can choose to forge new ones that align with your deepest understanding of life and what it means to thrive. This isn't an endorsement of reckless abandon, but a call to conscious, deliberate engagement with the values that guide your life. What if the good you adhere to isn't serving your growth, but merely comforting a collective mediocrity? What if the evil you condemn is simply a challenge to your own limitations? This first idea shatters the illusion of external moral authority and places the locus of moral creation firmly within human hands, leading us directly to our second powerful takeaway. Life's goal is growth, not comfort. This is where Nietzsche introduces his most famous and often misunderstood concept, the will to power. Far from being a crude urge for political domination or a justification for tyranny, the will to power is, for Nietzsche, the fundamental driving force of all life. It is the intrinsic, insatiable urge within every living thing to overcome resistance, to expand, to master its environment, and most importantly, to master itself. It is the impulse towards becoming, towards self-overcoming, towards a constant striving for higher forms of existence. Consider the athlete who pushes past their physical limits, the artist who toils endlessly to perfect their craft, the scientist who dedicates their life to unraveling a complex mystery. These aren't just pursuits of pleasure or comfort, They are expressions of the will to power. They are acts of self-overcoming, of transforming weakness into strength, ignorance into knowledge, potential into actuality. Nietzsche suggests that our deepest satisfaction doesn't come from finding a state of ease, from avoiding pain or challenge, but precisely from confronting and mastering them. Comfort, in fact, can be seen as a dangerous lull, a stagnation that inhibits true growth. To embrace this idea is to fundamentally reframe your relationship with difficulty. Challenges are not obstacles to be lamented or avoided. They are opportunities, the very fuel for your growth. They are the resistance against which your will to power can exert itself, can strengthen and define itself. Every setback, every struggle, every moment of discomfort becomes a chance to become more, to become stronger, to reveal capacities you never knew you possessed. It's about refusing to settle, refusing to be defined by your current limitations, and instead constantly striving to transcend them. This is the path to true vitality, to a life lived with intensity and purpose, driven by the profound satisfaction of continuous self-mastery. Which brings us to the third, culminating idea, an idea that binds the first two together. Become the author of your life. To task if morality is invented, and if your deepest drive is toward growth and self-overcoming, then the ultimate freedom lies not in conforming to existing norms, not in seeking comfort within predefined boundaries, but in the courage to create your own values. It is the radical act of self-legislation, of looking within, examining your unique potential, and consciously deciding what gives your life meaning, purpose, and direction. This isn't about anarchy or narcissism. It's about taking profound responsibility. It means daring to define your good and evil based on your own highest aspirations for growth, rather than passively accepting the good and evil handed down by tradition, public opinion, or religious dogma. It means aligning your actions with your chosen values, even when they diverge from the crowd, even when they invite misunderstanding or opposition. To be the author of your life is to embrace the formidable task of shaping your character, your destiny, and your moral compass with deliberate intent. It's to craft your own narrative, to paint your own masterpiece, knowing that the blank canvas and the brush are entirely yours. So, as you step back from this exploration of beyond good and evil carry these three ideas with you. First, question every inherited moral truth, knowing that you have the power to examine and choose. Second, embrace every challenge as an opportunity for growth, recognizing that comfort is the enemy of vitality and that your will to power demands self-overcoming. And third, cultivate the courage to author your own life, to forge your own values, and to live them with unwavering conviction. These aren't easy paths, but they are the paths to a life truly lived, a life of profound authenticity, power, and self-creation. Let them be the seeds of your transformation. And so, we bring our journey through Friedrich Nietzsche's electrifying masterpiece Beyond Good and Evil to a close. We've ventured into the deepest recesses of human motivation, questioned the very foundations of morality, and perhaps even glimpsed the potential for a new kind of human flourishing, one forged in self-overcoming and intellectual courage. This book is not merely a text to be read. It is an invitation to engage in a profound reevaluation of everything you thought you knew, a catalyst for intellectual liberation. But the true power of Nietzsche's philosophy doesn't reside solely within these words or within this video. It ignites when these radical ideas begin to resonate within your own consciousness. compelling you to think, to question, and to live differently. The journey beyond good and evil is an ongoing, intensely personal undertaking, and this video is but a single step on that path. Now, as you stand at this intellectual crossroads, I invite you to continue your journey beyond this screen, to engage more deeply, and to connect with others who are equally committed to rigorous thought. Your active participation is not just welcomed, it is essential for nurturing a vibrant community dedicated to exploring humanity's most challenging ideas. First and foremost, I genuinely want to hear how this exploration has impacted you. Nietzsche's philosophy is designed to provoke, to stir the dormant waters of convention. So, I urge you to comment below and share the one idea from this video that challenged you the most, that unsettled your comfortable assumptions, or a personal value you are now committed to re-examining, or perhaps even embracing with a newfound intensity. Did a particular concept resonate profoundly? Was there an argument that pushed back against your deepest convictions? Your thoughtful reflections not only clarify your own understanding, but also enrich the collective dialogue for every single viewer who ventures into the comments section. Let's make this space a vibrant forum for genuine intellectual exchange. If this deep dive into Nietzsche's radical philosophy has ignited a new perspective within you, if it has emboldened you to think more critically and to look at the world with a fresh, discerning gaze, then I implore you to subscribe to this channel. By doing so, you're not just hitting a button, you're joining a growing community of individuals who refuse to shy away from complex truths and who are hungry for more such rigorous explorations into philosophy, psychology, and culture. Your subscription also directly supports the creation of more in-depth content like this, allowing us to continue peeling back the layers of humanity's greatest intellectual achievements. And if you know another free spirit, someone who possesses the courage to question dogmas, the curiosity to explore uncomfortable truths, and the desire to live authentically, please share this video with them. Help us extend this conversation to those who are ready to hear it, to those who are ready to embark on their own journey of self-overcoming. For those whose appetites have merely been whetted by this video and who yearn for a more comprehensive engagement with Nietzsche's formidable intellect, remember that this video serves only as a gateway. The full power, nuance, and provocative beauty of his original text await. I wholeheartedly encourage you to check the description below for direct links to Beyond Good and Evil itself. To test there, you can secure your own copy and immerse yourself directly in the primary source, engaging with Nietzsche's unfiltered voice and intricate arguments firsthand. Reading the source material is an unparalleled experience, allowing you to wrestle with his ideas on your own terms. Furthermore, you'll also find carefully curated recommendations for more accessible guides and companion books to Nietzsche's philosophy, perfect for anyone looking to clarify complex concepts, gain additional perspectives, or simply build a stronger, more robust foundation in his thought. Continue your learning. The intellectual rewards are immense. Finally, for those who seek to transcend casual engagement and desire a more consistent, profound intellectual fellowship, a space to truly forge and refine your ideas in the crucible of thoughtful debate, I extend a special invitation. Consider joining our Patreon or Discord community. this is not merely a chat group, it is a curated environment where independent thinkers, intellectual adventurers, and fellow free spirits gather to discuss these profound ideas in real time. Here, you can delve into ongoing dialogues, pose challenging questions, share your evolving insights, and connect with a network of individuals who share your passion for intellectual honesty and growth. It's a sanctuary for sustained philosophical inquiry, offering a unique opportunity to challenge and be challenged, to learn and to teach, all within a supportive and stimulating environment. Become an active participant in the ongoing conversation beyond the constraints of a comment section. Thank you for embarking on this profound intellectual expedition with me. May your journey of self-discovery, critical thought, and relentless questioning continue to unfold with ever-increasing courage, clarity, and passion. For in embracing the discomfort of truth, we truly begin to live.